The Council's warning. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been called only 12 times in the last 10,000 years. Each time meant the same thing. Extinction was coming. Ambassador Chen stood in the center of the vast circular chamber, surrounded by holographic representatives of 47 species. Some had been exploring space when humans were still living in caves. Others had built empires that spanned entire galactic arms. All of them looked at her with the same expression: pity. Ambassador Chen, the council speaker began, its voice translated through neural implants, "We have analyzed your species' military capabilities. We have reviewed your technological development. We have calculated every possible defensive strategy." The alien paused, and Chen felt her stomach tighten. There is no scenario in which humanity survives the Kryak swarm. Holographic displays filled the air around her, images of destroyed worlds, bioships the size of moons, civilizations that had lasted millions of years, reduced to lifeless rocks in a matter of weeks. The Kryak swarm didn't conquer. It consumed. Every ship was a living organism. Every weapon grew from flesh and bone. They learned, they adapted, and they never stopped. "The swarm has already passed through the outer rim," said another council member. "They destroyed the Kelvar defense grid in 4 days. The Kelvar had weapons you have not yet imagined. They had shields that could withstand stars. It made no difference." "Then help us," Chen said quietly. The chamber fell silent. "We cannot," the speaker replied. "The swarm does not negotiate. It does not retreat. Every species that has tried to fight has been destroyed. Every species that has run, some survived." The alien leaned forward. "We are offering you transportation. We will help evacuate your core worlds. Perhaps 10% of your population can be saved." 10%. 3 billion people out of 30 billion. Chen looked around the chamber. She saw fear in alien eyes that had witnessed the death of galaxies. She saw the weight of countless failures. But she also saw something else. They had already accepted humanity's defeat. "We need time to discuss this," Chen said. "You have 72 hours, the speaker replied. "After that, the swarm enters your territory. Choose wisely, Ambassador. Choose survival." 70 hours later, Chen stood in the Earth's Defense Command Center, surrounded by humanity's best and brightest. Admiral Jonah Reyes had fought in 3 colonial wars. Captain Lyra Hale had designed tactics that defeated simulation enemies no one else could beat. Dr. Nadia Iqbal had revolutionized faster-than-light travel. Elias Ward commanded the largest automated drone fleet in human space. Sergeant Amara Cole had led Marines through hell and brought them home. "So that's it," Reyes said, staring at the holographic display of the approaching swarm. "Run or die." "The Council has never been wrong," Dr. Iqbal said. "Every species that fought was destroyed. The Kelvar, the Terran, the Vrex Coalition, all gone." "Every species fought the same way," Captain Hale interrupted. She pulled up tactical records from previous swarm invasions. "Look at this. Energy weapons at maximum range, defensive formations, shields prioritized over offense, they all played it safe. Because that's what works," someone argued. "Against normal enemies," Hale shot back. "The swarm adapts to safe tactics, but what if we don't play safe?" Ward leaned forward. "You're saying we do something unpredictable?" "I'm saying we do something insane," Hale replied. Sergeant Cole smiled. "Now you're speaking my language." Admiral Reyes studied the data. The swarm was 3 weeks away. Every calculation said humanity would lose. Every probability model showed the same result: extinction. But something nagged at him. Every defeated species had followed the Council's advice. Everyone had used approved tactics, and everyone had died. "What do we have that they didn't?" Reyes asked. Dr. Iqbal pulled up human military records. "We have railguns, kinetic weapons that the galaxy considers primitive. We have nuclear weapons, which most species abandoned centuries ago. We have close-range combat tactics that no sane species uses in space warfare. We have boarding teams," Cole added, "Marines trained to fight inside enemy ships. And we have AI, drone intelligence that every other species considers too dangerous to use in warfare." Reyes felt something shift inside him. The Council had offered humanity a choice, run or die, but there was a third option, one that no one expected, one that might be crazy enough to work. "Contact the Council," Reyes ordered. "Tell them we've made our decision." Ambassador Chen stood before the Galactic Council once more. The chamber was silent as she delivered humanity's response. We thank the Council for the offer of evacuation. We respectfully decline. Shock rippled through the alien representatives. Are you choosing extinction? The speaker asked, disbelief in his voice. No, Chen replied. We are choosing to fight. This is madness. The swarm cannot be defeated. Perhaps not by your methods, Chen said, but humanity has a saying, we didn't come this far to only come this far. We will not run, we will not hide, we will meet the swarm with everything we have. The holographic transmission ended and Chen turned to leave. Behind her, the Galactic Council erupted into arguments. Some called humanity arrogant, others called them foolish, but deep in the ancient chamber, a few aliens felt something they had not felt in centuries. What would happen when an unstoppable force met an unmovable species? The galaxy was about to find out. The human storm. The Kryak swarm entered human space exactly when predicted. 3,000 bioships, each one a living nightmare of organic armor and adaptive weapons. They had destroyed civilizations that had mastered technologies humanity was still dreaming about. They expected another easy meal. They were wrong. The swarm's vanguard entered the outer colony zone and found nothing. Empty worlds, silent stations, not a single human ship in sight. Confused but undeterred, the bioships pushed deeper into human territory, following the pattern that had worked for millions of years. Find the populated worlds, overwhelm the defenses, consume everything. That's when the trap closed. All units, Admiral Reyes transmitted across every human frequency. Execute protocol madness. From behind planets, from inside asteroid fields, from positions no sane military would choose, humanity struck. But not with energy weapons, not with long-range missiles. They struck with massive railguns firing projectiles at relativistic speeds, chunks of metal moving so fast they hit like nuclear bombs. The swarm's adaptive shields, designed to absorb energy, did nothing against solid mass traveling at 30% light speed. 17 bioships died in the first 3 seconds. Captain Hale watched from her command ship as the swarm reacted. Just as predicted, the bioships began to adapt, growing thicker armor, shifting their formations. Phase 2, she ordered calmly. Human ships accelerated directly toward the swarm, not away, toward. At distances where galactic tactics called for retreat, human vessels pushed closer. The swarm's weapons were devastating at long range, but humanity had studied every battle record. They had found the weakness. The bioships needed time to target, time to charge their weapons. Time humanity wouldn't give them. Collision course, one of Hale's officers reported, voice tight with fear. Maintain speed, trust the math. At the last possible second, human ships broke formation in a maneuver called the scatter bomb. Hundreds of vessels separated in seemingly random directions, forcing the swarm to choose targets. While the bioships hesitated for half a second, just half a second, human railguns fired again. At point-blank range, the projectiles punched through organic armor like paper. 40 more bioships destroyed. But the swarm was learning. It always learned. They're adapting to the kinetic strikes, Dr. Iqbal reported from the science vessel Prometheus, growing reactive armor, creating internal structures to absorb impact. Then we move to Phase 3, Admiral Reyes said. Elias Ward smiled as he activated his command console. Drones away! 10,000 automated fighters launched from hidden positions, but these weren't the defensive drones the galaxy used, carefully programmed to preserve themselves, to calculate acceptable losses, to prioritize survival. These were human drones, and they had only one mission: maximum damage, survival optional.
The AI swarms moved like schools of fish made of metal and fury. They didn't retreat when shields appeared. They didn't recalculate when facing certain death. They flew directly into swarm formations, using themselves as shields for the next wave, as battering rams, as delivery systems for nuclear warheads that humanity had supposedly abandoned. The drones are achieving a 94% casualty rate, Ward reported, his voice steady despite the horror of the numbers. And the swarm? Reyes asked. Trying to adapt, but they've never faced an enemy that throws away resources like this. They keep expecting us to preserve our forces. They're thinking like the Council, Captain Hale said. They're thinking like every species they've ever fought. They don't understand that humans don't calculate acceptable losses. We calculate acceptable sacrifices. The swarm's main fleet tried to reorganize, tried to implement defensive patterns. That's when Sergeant Amara Cole's Marines struck. Boarding pods, crude metal tubes filled with heavily armed humans launched from assault carriers. The galactic military had abandoned boarding actions centuries ago. Too dangerous, too unpredictable, too insane. But humanity had learned that the swarm's bioships, while heavily armored on the outside, were vulnerable on the inside. They were living organisms, after all. And living things could bleed. Contact in 5 seconds, Cole transmitted to her teams. Remember, they're expecting a space battle. Let's teach them about ground war. The pods crashed through organic hull tissue and Marines poured out. The interior of a swarm ship was a nightmare of pulsing walls and biological weapons, but humans had trained for this. They had studied every available record. They knew where the critical organs were, where the nerve clusters formed, where the bioships were weakest. They used flamethrowers, explosives, and even simple steel blades. Inside the ships, the swarm's adaptive abilities meant nothing. This wasn't a battle of advanced technology. This was brutal, close-quarters combat. This was humanity's oldest skill, killing things that wanted to kill them. Ship 7 is compromised, Cole reported as her team destroyed another nerve cluster. Organism is dying. Copy that. Move to Ship 11. Across the battle zone, 23 bioships died from the inside out, killed by an enemy that should have never gotten close, using tactics that should have never worked. The swarm began to retreat. On Earth, in the Council Observation Chamber, 47 alien species watched in stunned silence. The holographic display showed impossible numbers. Human casualties were catastrophic, thousands of ships destroyed, hundreds of thousands dead, but the swarm was broken. More than 1,000 bioships eliminated, the rest fleeing toward the edge of human space. How? The council speaker whispered. Every calculation said this was impossible. Ambassador Chen, watching the same display, smiled tiredly. You calculated what tactics would work. We calculated what we were willing to pay. That's the difference. This is not victory, another council member protested. Your losses are acceptable, Chen interrupted, because we're still here, because our worlds still stand, because we chose to fight. She turned to face the council directly. You offered us a choice between running or dying. We chose a third option. We chose to make them pay for every inch of space, for every world, for every human life. Dr. Iqbal's voice came through on a priority channel. Admiral, the swarm is regrouping at the edge of the system. They're hesitating. Hesitating? Reyes repeated. They've never encountered resistance like this. Every battle record shows they press forward until complete victory. But we've hurt them. For the first time in their existence, the swarm is questioning whether the meal is worth the fight. Captain Hale pulled up tactical projections. If they come back, they'll adapt to everything we used. The kinetic strikes, the close formations, the boarding actions. None of it will work twice. Then we'll think of something new, Reyes said simply. That's what humans do. We adapt, we improvise, we overcome. 3 days later, the swarm left human space, not destroyed, but driven back, something that had never happened before. The Galactic Council called another emergency session, but this time humanity wasn't there to receive warnings. This time, they were there to deliver a message. Ambassador Chen stood in the center of the ancient chamber and spoke words that would echo through the galaxy for generations. You told us to run. You told us we couldn't win. You offered us the choice you've offered every species, survive as refugees or die as heroes. She paused, letting the weight of humanity's victory sink in. We chose neither. We chose to fight on our terms with our tactics, using our creativity and our courage. We lost thousands, but we're still here. Our worlds still breathe. Our people still dream. The swarm will return, the speaker warned. They always return, and next time they will be ready for you. Chen smiled. Then we'll be ready for them, because that's what humans do. We adapt, we improvise, we overcome. You've spent 10,000 years playing it safe, following calculated tactics, accepting inevitable losses. We've spent 3 million years learning how to survive when the odds say we shouldn't. She looked around the chamber at the representatives of 47 species and saw something new in their eyes. Not pity, not fear, but respect, mixed with uncertainty. The galaxy called us primitive because we still use kinetic weapons, reckless because we fight at close range, barbaric because we send warriors into hand-to-hand combat. But today, those primitive, reckless, barbaric tactics saved us. Maybe it's time the galaxy learned that new isn't always better, that safe isn't always smart, that sometimes the crazy option is the right option. The chamber was silent. Humanity will share our tactical data with any species that wants